I need a boyfriend, and you need strong offspring. The giant alien widow told the struggling Manthe. Colony ship crashed on planet designation XR447. 3 months ago, and only 12 humans survived. The impact among them was Jake Harris, a maintenance. A technician who never imagined he would end up stranded on an alien world with purple skies and twin suns that burned overhead like angry eyes. Watching their every move, survivors built a small camp near the wreckage using salvaged materials. From the ship, they rationed food carefully, knowing their supplies would not last more than 6 months without finding local sources of nutrition. The planet seemed habitable enough with breathable air and moderate temperatures, but the wildlife proved dangerous, and the plants were mostly inedible to human. Biology Jake spent his days repairing equipment and maintaining the few functional systems. They managed to salvage from the crash. He was good with his hands and could fix almost anything. Given enough time and the right parts, but parts were running low and morale was running lower. In the 47th day after the crash, scouts reported contact with intelligent life. Aliens called themselves the Varine, and they stood nearly 8 feet tall with bluish-gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and dark, like polished obsidian, in their faces held a strange beauty that was both familiar and utterly foreign. They wore minimal clothing despite their size revealing powerful, muscular frames that spoke of a warrior culture. Varine approached the human camp, cautiously carrying no visible weapons, but radiating an aura of controlled strength that made even the bravest survivors nervous. Their leader introduced herself through a translation device as Commander Zara Velith, and she explained that this planet was a Varan colony established 50 years ago. Her initial tensions. The two groups established diplomatic relations. The Varan offered food and medical supplies in exchange for human technology and knowledge. They were particularly interested in human engineering and computer systems, which were more advanced than their own in some ways. Jake found himself assigned to work with the Varan engineers, teaching them about human technology and learning about their systems in return. He spent long hours in their workshops, which smelled of ozone and unfamiliar metals, working alongside alien technicians who communicated in musical tones and complex gestures. That was how he met Liara. Stood 7.5 feet tall with skin the color of storm clouds and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within their depths. She was a Varine engineer and widow, her mate having died in a mining accident 2 years prior. She carried herself with quiet dignity and spoke human languages with surprising fluency. Liara worked beside Jake for weeks, teaching him the basics of Varan technology and learning about human engineering principles. She was patient and kind, never mocking his mistakes and always willing to explain concepts multiple times until he understood if other humans noticed. Jake spending more time with the Varine, and some made jokes about his alien friends, but Jake did not care. He found the Varan fascinating, and Liara in particular seemed genuinely interested in learning from him. One evening, as they worked late on repairing a power generator, Liara asked him about human relationships. She wanted to know about marriage and family and how humans chose their mates. Jake explained, as best he could, describing love and attraction and commitment, while feeling slightly awkward discussing such personal topics with an alien. Liara listened carefully and then explained Varine mating customs. The Varine bonded for life, but if a mate died, the survivor was expected to find a new partner and produce offspring to strengthen. The species Varine society valued genetic diversity and strong children above personal preference and mate selection. She told him she was under pressure from her family and community to find a new mate. But Varine males were in short supply on this colony world. Many had died in accidents or conflicts, and the remaining males had multiple females competing for their attention. Listened sympathetically, not sure what to say. Then Liara turned to him with those deep dark eyes and said something that made his heart stopey. Need a boyfriend, and you need strong. Stared at her, not comprehending at first. Liara explained calmly that Varine and human biology were compatible enough for reproduction according to their medical scans. The Varine had been studying human biology since first contact and determined that hybrid offspring were theoretically possible. Such children would be stronger than pure humans, and more adaptable than pure Varench. Continued saying that she had been observing Jake for weeks and found him intelligent, resourceful, and kind-hearted. All qualities valued in Varen mates. She needed a partner, and he needed a future on this world where humans were struggling to survive it. Proposal was logical, practical, and utterly terrifying. Jake stammered that he needed time to think. Liara nodded understanding and returned to her work as if she had just asked him to pass a wrench rather than proposing they become mates and create. A hybrid chilled over the following days. Jake could not stop thinking about Liara's proposal. He discussed it cautiously with some of the other survivors without revealing who had made the offer. The reactions were mixed. Some thought interspecies relationships were wrong or unnatural, while others pointed out that survival sometimes required adapting. Two new circumstance scaly leader, Patricia Yetter. Graham called a meeting to discuss the situation. She explained that the human survivors needed allies and resources to survive long-term, and building stronger relationships with the Varin was essential. She did not order anyone to pursue romantic relationships with aliens, but she made it clear that such relationships would not be discouraged if they were consensual. Jake realized that Patricia was right. They were stranded on this world, possibly forever, and making a life here meant accepting their new reality. Sought out Liara and found her in the workshop calibrating sensor equipment. She looked up as he entered and waited patiently for him to speak. Jake told her he wanted to try. He did not know if it would work, and he was frightened of the unknown, but he was willing to explore the possibility of a relationship. Leah's face did not show its motion in ways humans easily recognized, but her eyes seemed to brighten in her posture. Relax slightly, she told him. 8. They would proceed slowly, and she would teach him Varen customs and traditions, so he would not feel lost. Her courtship was strange and wonderful. Liara introduced him to Varen food, which was surprisingly edible. Though bland by human standards, she taught him Varen games and showed him how to read basic Varen writing. Jake in turn shared human music with her and taught her how to play chess, which she found fascinating. Other Varen watched their relationship with interest. Some disapproved, but most seemed curious about the possibility of human Varine unions. The human survivors had similar mixed reactions, but Jake stopped caring about others' opinions, was falling in love with an alien. And it felt right. Liara was intelligent and patient, with a dry sense of humor that surprised him. She enjoyed solving complex problems and could work for hours without breaking concentration, but she also appreciated quiet moments watching the twin suns set over the alien landscape. Months into their relationship, Liara formally asked Jake to become her mate. According to Varine tradition, this involved a ceremony before both communities, where they would declare their intention to bond and produce offspring. Jake agreed. Despite his nervousness, ceremony took place in the Varent settlement, a cluster of elegant buildings carved from local stone. The Varn gathered in a central courtyard along with most of the human survivors. Patricia Graham stood beside Jake, offering moral support as Liara approached, wearing ceremonial robes that shimmered like liquid silver. Varine Elder conducted the ceremony in both languages, speaking of unity between species and the strength that comes from diversity. Liara and Jake exchanged vows, promising to support each other and raise any children with love and wisdom. The ceremony concluded. The Varine made a deep humming sound that seemed to resonate in Jake's chest. It was their equivalent of applause and acceptance. At that night, Liara brought Jake to her dwelling, a spacious home with high ceilings and minimal furniture. She explained that they would live together from now on and begin preparing for offspring. Jake was nervous about the physical aspects of their relationship, but Liara was patient and gentle. She explained that Varen females were stronger than human males, and she would need to be careful not to accidentally hurt him. Their first night together was awkward and strange, but also tender. Liara's forearms allowed her to hold him in ways no human could, and her strength made him feel both vulnerable and protected. Afterward, she held him close and hummed a Varine lullaby that vibrated through his entire body. Life settled into a new routine. Jake divided his time between working with the human survivors and living with Liara. Among the Varen, he learned to cook Varen food, and she learned to appreciate human coffee, which the Varen found fascinating. 5 months after their bonding, Liara confirmed she was pregnant. News sent shockwaves through both communities. This would be the first human-Varine hybrid child, and no one knew what to expect. Varine doctors monitored Liara's pregnancy, carefully comparing notes with the human medic, Patricia Graham.